Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Lunchbox. Today I'm going to show you how to make some bread pudding. The bread pudding is actually a very simple dish, uses commonly available ingredients and tastes delicious. So let's go ahead and make some delicious bread pudding. To make the bread pudding, you will need the below ingredients. The main ingredient is your bread. Now this is a very versatile dessert recipe, so you can really use any kind of bread, brown bread, white bread, whole grain bread, potato bread, whichever you like. Especially if there is leftover bread in the house, that's the best use of the bread, but if you need to, you can get some fresh bread also. If you have bread, I have about 8 slices over here, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of milk, 1 stick of unsalted butter melted, 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla essence. Now these ingredients are the required ingredients. I also have some optional ingredients over here that you can use or skip. I have 2 tablespoons of bourbon whiskey, 1/4 cup of raisins, 1/4 cup of marshmallows, and 1/4 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now you can skip any of these ingredients and the bread pudding will still turn out delicious. But if you would like to, you can use any of these ingredients or add more like almonds, pistachios, cashews, or even a few of these. So let's go ahead and make some delicious bread pudding. The first step, we're going to go ahead and whip our eggs. So we're going to crack our eggs into the mixing bowl. Let's go ahead and whip these eggs up. We'll whip it up for about a minute or so. Once the eggs are whipped up, to this we're going to go ahead and add our cup of milk, the melted butter, one cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder. And finally our vanilla essence. Now we're going to go ahead and mix all these ingredients together. Once these ingredients are well mixed, to this I'm going to go ahead and add my bourbon whiskey since I've decided to use it. If you decided not to use it, then you can skip this step. Give it a quick stir. Once these are mixed, this is going to be our wet mixture. We're going to keep it aside and start working on our dry ingredients. For the dry ingredients, we're going to take our baking dish and we are going to crush or break the bread randomly into this baking dish directly. Now there is no specific size limit of how big the bread pieces should be, just random. Try to keep it as small as possible. That way it will be easier for the bread pieces to absorb all the wet mixtures. So go ahead and fill the baking dish with crumbs or pieces of bread. Once you have filled up your baking dish with the pieces of bread, you're going to go ahead and add the optional ingredients if you have chosen to use them. So I'm going to add some raisins, some marshmallows, and some of my semi-sweet chocolate chips. Don't worry about them overflowing. Once you add the wet ingredients to this, all these dry ingredients will kind of sink into the baking dish. Once we have all our dry ingredients in the baking dish, to this we're going to go ahead and add our wet ingredients. So the wet ingredient mixture that we have, just go ahead and pour it into the baking dish. Once you pour the wet ingredients on top of the dry ingredients, we're going to go ahead and use a fork and kind of press all the ingredients inside, in a sense of mixing all of them together. I'm going to try and crush the bread pieces into the baking dish so they can absorb the wet mixture. Once you have mixed the wet and the dry ingredients together, it's time to go ahead and bake our pudding. To bake this, we are going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and once it preheats, we are going to bake this pudding for about 50 to 60 minutes. So let's go ahead and put it in the oven. Our pudding is now in the oven. We will check back on it in about 50 to 60 minutes. It's been about 55 minutes. Let's go ahead and take out our bread pudding from the oven. Our delicious bread pudding is now ready to be enjoyed. This goes very well with some ice cream and a chocolate drizzle. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do try this bread pudding recipe and let me know your feedback in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.